السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام أبو عبد الله، كيف الحال؟
Dr. Sahil, he will be with us shortly, okay?
إن شاء الله. طيب.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
كيف حالكم؟ إن شاء الله بخير.
الحمد لله بخير، كيف الحال؟
الحمد لله، كل عام وأنتم بخير إن شاء الله.
كل سنة وأنت طيب.
توكل على الله
إن شاء الله. الله بسم الله.
طيب. لا. بسم الله، الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وصحبه ومن والاه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Inshallah, we're continuing with our journey with the Quran and adopt the same approach, going over all the verses, but starting at giving or spending more time on the more fundamental verses or foundational. And believe we finished the first juz'ah with the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون. You cannot believe how powerful this verse is. I mean, we spend more time on two verses, the verse that delineate the job description of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which came in the form of a dua or supplication by Ibrahim alayhi salam. That's verse 129. ربنا وابعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياتك ويعلمهم You can mute other crowd. You can mute. So Our Lord, make a messenger of their own, rise up from among them to recite your revelations to them, to teach them scriptures and wisdom, and purify them or develop them, and you are the mighty, the wise. And then the verse, تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ. This is one of those verses that can solve tremendous problems. I mean, if Muslims understand this verse, we wouldn't have the Shia Sunnah problem today, because that's history. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ. And we wouldn't have a lot of problems that are lingering for centuries. There is no point. It's over. It's history. I recently was involved in a discussion, even though it was political discussion, about the history of Tunisia, and the same thing. I mean, there was an era of about 30 years ruled by a president who is for Tunisia like Ataturk for Turkey. And there is a lot of debate, and my stand was very simple. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ. There is no point. The man has died. Whatever he has done, that's not the issue. The point is, where do we go from here? How do we understand how did we come to this point, and where do we go from here? But individuals, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge them, and we cannot tell about their intention, and it's not our job to keep evaluating the good and the bad that they have done. That's the job of historians and think tanks and etc. That's not. And subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He wants to prepare this community for a mission, not to be swamped in theoretical debates and hypothetical issues and dead issues or old issues. I gave them this great guideline and rule. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Period. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ. That's verse 141. That community passed away. What they earned belongs to them, and what you earn belongs to you. You will not be answerable or accountable for their deeds. Very simple rule, and that's the power of this deen, the deen of fitra, that is compatible with the inner nature of people. And this is a golden rule. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ. By the way, for those of you who follow, for example, the recent history of Turkey, Turkey was stuck because of something like this. For a long time, Turkey was stuck because of the debate about Ataturk between the people who say this is the great leaders, the father of the Turkish, and the one who did miracles, and between the ones who say this is the devil, this is the one who destroyed the Khilafah. So the whole country got stuck in. For years was not able to move because of this division and split and polarization. This is how Erdogan solved the issue, basically, maybe following this rule, saying, whatever vision Ataturk has, he had big vision for Turkey, so let's try to fulfill it. Let's not get stuck in debating whether he was a good person or bad person, or how good or how bad. The man had a big vision for Turkey. Our job is try to make it happen. So basically he translated this verse to that context. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. And you can tell easily that was one of the major factors of the takeoff of Turkey and its ability to get out of paralysis. which it has stayed in state of paralysis and stagnation and corruption for so long. And this is one of the issues that there is something that is blocking the progress of the country. And when we can see this principle, this rule, this guidance, Quran is a book of guidance, help solving that issue. As I mentioned also, I think I mentioned last time, I said it's really very silly, this debate about Shia and Sunnah, what happened at a certain point in time. And for people to get stuck there, it's very, very ridiculous. People should be able to move on. It's over, whether you debate between Hussein and Yazid, or between Muawiyah and Ali ibn Abi Talib, or even going all the way between Ali ibn Abi Talib and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. That's not an issue to be debated anymore or to be stuck in. This verse is telling us that history is good only for lessons. لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ. So let's try to apply that even in our family life and personal life and social life, that anything that's try to avoid getting stuck in any particular issue and have that ability to overcome and move on. تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون. The vast majority of Muslims have the wrong understanding or the wrong approach in dealing with the history because of the lack of understanding of this verse. Some people, they want to recreate history, to have the Khilafah again and a system of governance like the one that was there. Firas, if you can mute, make sure that everybody is muted, please, so that there is no background noise. I was saying that some people are stuck in history, bragging always about the achievements of Muslims, and they're using that as an alternative for their own achievement. So when there is a discussion about achievement, we have nothing to show for, so we go back and say, our sisters did. This verse says, لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم. Brother Firas, can you mute everybody, please? Or everybody mute yourself. So between those who get stuck in history, between those who are trying to recreate it, and between those who use it as an excuse for failing now. It's okay that we are failing now. Why? Because our ancestors have done this and that in science and they did actually. Just recently was watching a short documentary about the castle in Ishbilia of Al-Mu'tamad ibn Abbad, and it's really amazing this civilization, how great it was, and how paying attention to details and excelling really. I mean, it's a high level of professionalism and creativity and etc. So, but again, تلك أمة قد خلت. We shouldn't get stuck there. All right, let's move on. سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها. In the next few verses, we're talking about at least until verse 150. So from 142 to 150, about 8 verses. They are about an incident that happened in the Sirah of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which was the fact that Muslims were asked to change Qibla, to pray toward Jerusalem, Aqsa Mosque, and then were asked to go back and pray to Mecca again. It it is a major incident. Maybe today it may look very simple. It's not really important. No, it is very important actually. It is very important for many reasons. One, it tells us again that the main job of the Quran, or the main goal of the Quran, or the main role of the Quran, is to prepare the individual and the community to fulfill their mission. So basically, the Quran is building the individual and the community, and of course maintaining and developing. And so it's not like one time Quran builds the individual or the community, but also there is maintenance, and there is improvement, and there is sharpening of that individual and that community to fulfill the mission. You can see that all the time in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling the believers how they should introduce Islam. Tells them how to answer the questions, frequently asked questions, like we call them today, and the challenges that people will come up with. So Quran is full of that preparation of that individual, sketching the profile of this mission-driven individual along the footsteps of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, or the model of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and then sketching the profile of that community and motivating Muslims to live up to that expectations and to fulfill or match that profile. And then is also keep telling them about how to answer frequently asked questions and the challenges that people are coming up with. I really appreciate this so much because I have been involved a couple times and right now in something like this, which is building individuals and a group for like a movement or to fulfill a mission and to affect major change. And I find myself automatically doing this all the time, which is trying to empower these individuals and this group of tools so that they can better deliver the message and better answer the question and be steadfast in the face of all those challenges and of course bashing and attempt to discredit who are you, who's behind you, what's your real purpose. We have heard this before, nothing new. We keep hearing this all the time. And I find myself automatically, very naturally, doing this job over and over, which is basically empowering and training and inspiring and reinforcing principles so that the person who's going to deliver the message will be on a very strong platform or very strong ground, and then will not be shaken by the challenges and the provocation and harassment, and can deliver the message with all the confidence and very sharp and in a very convincing way. So, subhanAllah, I can really appreciate how Quran did this because there is no real change that can happen, especially if it is a major change. And there are individuals and the community who is expected to stand to face the flow, and then to change its direction, not to go with the flow. And especially for the first few individuals, they have to be very, very strong and very steadfast because it's not easy. It's not easy to come up in a society with a different mindset and a different approach and different behavior and different priorities and different way of dealing with people and different everything. It's not easy at all. But subhanAllah, change has always happened this way. If you think about it throughout the history of humanity, the real change or substantial change happen through two ways. There is no other way. It's qudwa and taw'iyah, role model and awareness and education and inspiring. There is no other way. That's how you can change policies. That's how you can change laws. That's how you can change norms, social norms. That's how you can change people. That's how you can change everything. Every change, if you think about it, happens through these two things. That role model and public education or awareness. Now, in Islamic context, we call that da'wah. In a political context, it's civic awareness and civic education, public education. But at the end of the day, it comes to these two things. There are individuals who embody the change, be the change we want to see in the world, and those individuals are so confident and so passionate about their beliefs that they will talk to anybody. It's like the missionaries. They will talk to anybody who is willing to listen. And they will not take no for an answer. They can repeat and try again, and because they have that passion for their mission and their message, and they have they care about people. And they are driven even by religious motivation or patriotism or compassion. And these are the main engines, in addition to personal ambition. These are what I call them at certain point in time, the four engines of motivation. Basically, it's a divine mission, or mission in general. It is patriotism, compassion. That's what makes people go, like Doctors Without Borders, and people will go to places that are dangerous and they are miserable just to help. That's compassion. Patriotism, people will die for their country. And personal motivation. There are people when they have a really dream, and I have seen this in the program I work in, the pre-med program. I can see those who have that dream to be a physician, how much sacrifice they make. They change careers, even though they have a good career and they're making good money, and they leave all of that, and then they go put themselves deep into debts and lose several years of rather making an income, just accumulating debts and going back to school and study. They don't have to. It's just there is a personal dream or ambition that is driving them. So if you don't understand, this tells you the link between the Seerah and the Quran. If you're not aware of that incident, you will get you don't get much out of these verses, from verse 142 to verse 150. Now, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, that's part of the wisdom that we may come up with, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Muslims to switch from Kaaba to Jerusalem and then to come back. This tells you how much Quran wants to sharpen these people, make them pure, fully dedicated to Allah and to the cause, and not 90%, not 95%, 100%. Now, Kaaba, it's a mixed bag. Kaaba, it is the sacred place that Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail built, but also it is a source of pride for the Arabs and for Quraysh. So it was not something pure to Allah. So revering Kaaba was not really something pure. It was mixed. So it was religion and tribal and pride. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants these people to be pure. Wants these founding fathers of this religion and this community to be really fully dedicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, min ibadillahi al-mukhlasin. So wants to remove that. And also it was a test. There is no question about it. It wasn't easy at all. Even for the Prophet, by the way. That's what the verse will say. Never mind for his followers. It was not easy for a tribal society and the Kaaba. The whole prestige of Quraysh is coming from the Kaaba. For people to start praying to Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem was really very, very heavy test. And very hard. Again, even for the Prophet. But subhanAllah, the verses quickly mentioned why this happened. And then we're coming across a very fundamental verse. I consider this one of the top foundational verses in Quran, and that's the beginning of verse 143. So what the verse says, foolish people will say, what has turned them away from the prayer direction they used to face? Quran is telling them, I told you, everybody who is involved in a change, he has to try to empower the people to face the questions or the challenges. So that's what Quran is doing. It's telling them that people, and this is mainly what the Jews in Medina, and also the Arabs in Medina and in Mecca everywhere, سيقول السفهاء من الناس ما ولاهم عن قبلتهم التي كانوا عليها قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. Amazing, this Quran. Foolish people will say, what has turned them away from the prayer direction they used to face? Say, east and west belong to Allah. He guides whoever He will to the right way. So very forceful answer, yani. It's not like appeasing or apologetic or قل لله مشرق والمغرب. And we're worshipping Allah. Allah is not in the Kaaba. I mean, Kaaba is special just because Allah made it special. So قل لله مشرق والمغرب. Change of paradigm between people who are taking the pride of Kaaba and people who are changing their mind to take their pride because they are servants of Allah. قل لله المشرق والمغرب. And keep in mind that this is the little we can get from the Quran. These Arabs, they were able to get a lot more than whatever we can get today because they were masters of the Arabic language. They play with it. قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. So first of all, again, it's along the same thing. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. It's whoever want to deliver a message of change, they better be not apologetic or shaky, because it's not going to click with people. Why should I accept a message from you if I see you hesitant or reluctant or not sure of yourself or not very confident? Whoever wants to deliver a message of change, they have to be super confident. I mean, bordering on arrogance. I mean, of course, shouldn't be arrogant, but bordering on arrogance. Should be very confident that what you have is the truth. And so, قل لله المشرق والمغرب يهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم. Again, they want to say this or they already said this. That's how you should answer them. And this is a very typical approach or process for any movement of change. Whoever wants to lead a change or inspire a change, they better be prepared to do the following. One is to empower individuals to be able to deliver the message in a very convincing, passionate, sharp way, and also to be very solid and robust and should not become confident, and not to be and to answer potential questions and potential provocations and changes, etc. وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا. This is the part that I believe every Muslim should know and master. And this is a principle that we should live by. We have made you believers into a just community, so that you may bear witness to the truth before others, and so that the messenger may bear witness to it before you. Very powerful statement. Why you're going through this? Because you are in a community who is being built to lead. كذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا. It was translated into balanced nation. It was translated into just community. It was translated in a several way. I would say that the meaning of leadership is very clear here, and it was confirmed and reinforced by the next words. So كذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا. My understanding of this verse is that you are a community who is being built to lead and guide. And again, I don't have to interpret that, because the next statement clarifies that. لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا. And those of you who attend the khutbah know my explanation and interpretation of this is that the role of a Muslim individual and the Muslim community among other people should be the same as the role of the Prophet among Muslims. Again, لتكونوا شهداء. The verse are very clear. لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا. That your job, your role that you are expected to fulfill among people is the role that the Prophet has fulfilled amongst you. لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا. This verse was confirmed in Surah Al-Hajj, at the end of Surah Al-Hajj, in another very powerful verse, the end of Surah Al-Hajj, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هو اجتباكم وما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج. يعني وجاهدوا في الله. The last two verses on Surah Al-Hajj are also very foundational. يا الذين آمنوا اركعوا واسجدوا واعبدوا ربكم وافعلوا الخير لعلكم تفلحون. Many Muslims don't even finish this whole verse. And then وجاهدوا في الله حق جهاده, and strive in the cause of Allah as is His due. هو اجتباكم, selected you for this purpose. وما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج ملة أبيكم إبراهيم هو سماكم مسلمين من قبل وفي هذا ليكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا عليكم وتكونوا شهداء على الناس. Again, you are selected, you are asked to strive. Again, jihad has nothing to do with fighting or killing or anything. Strive in the way of Allah as is His due, not even strive. Strive by itself is doing your utmost. And if you add to it haqqa jihadi, that makes it really very, very high standard and challenging. Selected, كذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا here, and over there who اجتباكم. Of course, selected, it's not the chosen people. Selected you for a job, not to be arrogant or to feel that you are better than others. And then, so Surah Al-Hajj is Surah Al-Hajj, Surah 22. Surah 22, and the verses are 77 and 78. 77 and 78. Inshallah, we'll come to these, but these are really, because this is one of those verses that, like Shafi'i said about Surah Al-Asr, that if Allah has revealed only Surah Al-Asr would be enough. These are the two verses in Surah Hajj are of that category of verses. So believers, bow down, prostrate yourselves, worship to your Lord, and do good so that you may succeed. Strive hard for God as is His due. He has chosen you, and face no hardship in your religion, the faith of your forefather Abraham. God has called you Muslims both in the past and in this message, so that the messenger can bear witness about you, and so that you can bear witness about other people. Very clear, very explicit. So I put these verses together with the verse of Surah Al-Imran, which is كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. This is a very good package and very important. The verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, 142, I believe, says, and the verse of Surah Al-Hajj, and the verse of Surah Al-Imran. Inshallah, we'll find that verse. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر. It's not Al-Imran, it's in Baqarah. Yeah. Yeah, Surah Al-Imran. Yeah. It's 110. So Surah 3, 110. You are the best community that was sent to humanity to enjoin that which is good and forbid that which is evil. So going back to we have made you believers into a just community. In Surah Al-Hajj say we designated you or selected you. In Surah Al-Imran it is said, it says that you were sent to humanity. Very clear. So what is the job of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ amongst us that we have to fulfill with people? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is a role model. So if you want to apply this verse, you have to strive to develop yourself into a role model. And that's a lifelong struggle. It doesn't end. You're not going to reach any point where you say, that's it, I'm good enough. I don't need to improve. I don't need to learn. I don't need to acquire any new knowledge or new skills, or I don't need to do more. That's not true. So, role model. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة. Your job is to be أسوة حسنة to people. Role model. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a leader. And a leader who didn't have any ways or means to enforce his leadership. It was leadership by consent. People loved him and accepted his leadership. And leadership of guidance and compassionate, and it's not leadership of oppression. Your job also among the people around you is to lead and guide. Of course, they are very connected. If you are not trying to be a role model, you cannot lead or guide or inspire. So it's a package. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent as mercy to humanity. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. You want to apply this verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, you have to try to be mercy to the people around you. wherever you go, wherever you settle, in the workplace, in the neighborhood, wherever you are, in your extended family, you should be a mercy, someone who is there. You can count on him to help. Even if you cannot help, you can say good words, you can comfort, you can counsel, you can. So, because Rasul did not, for a long time, did not have much to help with, but he was a mercy. Mercy when you provide people with a vision, when you release people from the shackles that are holding them back and holding them down. يضع عنكم إصركم والأغلال التي كانت عليكم. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I mean, when you try to free people from addiction, from confusion, from anything that is holding them down or locking their potential, that's mercy. When you are giving advice, when you are educating, when you are sharing your knowledge and your expertise and your experience and etc., all of this. So make sure that this verse and this package, 143 of Al-Baqarah, and the verse from Ali Imran, and the verse from Al-Hajj, it's a one package that tells you what are the expectations. So a lot of time you hear this word like the Ummah is doing well, and alhamdulillah, our community is great, we're doing a good job, because we have some mosques, or our mosques are becoming bigger, or because we have conferences, or because we have some activities. All of this is great. Nobody can belittle or should belittle this. But that's not the standard. That's not what makes you great. The standard is this. Standard, did you become a leading community and the role model in the society who is having an impact? That should be the standard. If not, then still you have, yes, you may have come a long way, but we should learn, because we repeated this mistake many times. We should learn that when you make an achievement or a progress, it's just a step in the way, in a journey. You shouldn't get really drowned in celebration and thinking as if mission is accomplished, or having that mission accomplished attitude. No, the standard is this. Standard, as you are a Muslim community in this country, you should be working hard to become a role model and model community and a leading community who has a substantial positive impact on the society, making difference. I don't think we can say that. I don't think we can say that even though we have communities who settle in a city and county for so long, I don't think that's the contribution that they made put them at this standard. So we have to remember that, and for those who want to affect change, having a compass, bawsala, standard, is very important. Why? Because otherwise you can easily be misled or can deviate, and we have seen that. We have seen it recently in the Arab Springs. We have seen both mistakes. Both. The one that people think that mission is accomplished upon the first achievement, like overthrown dictator, that's it. We go into celebration and we relax and we go home, job is done. And then the whole thing is reconstructed in a way that is very different from the way that we wanted. Or we allow things to deviate. Why? Because we don't have a clear compass. We don't have our eyes on the prize. So we can be misled easily. Anybody who want to be involved in a real change, they better have that compass and clear. They keep their eyes on the prize so that they can avoid those two mistakes. You will not relax before you achieve your goal, It's not over until it is over. And you will not allow anybody to mislead you or misguide you or to debate you. The compass for a Muslim individual and Muslim community is this, is to be a role model and to be a leading community of difference makers. Community is making a difference. When they settle in a neighborhood or in a city, they make a difference. Or in a county or in a state, they make a difference. And that's the whole idea of Al-Amr bil-Ma'ruf wa Nahy al-Munkar. What's Amr bil-Ma'ruf wa Nahy al-Munkar? Making difference. Changing things to the better. Making things better. And then it starts talking about that incident that I mentioned. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الْقِبْلَةَ الَّتِي كُنْتَ عَلَيْهَا إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يَتَّبِعُ الرَّسُولَ مِمَّنْ يَنْقَلِبُ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ. So Allah is explaining to them why they were told to switch. This is after the fact, by the way. This is after they were told to go back to pray to Kaaba. So ما جعلنا القبلة التي we only made the direction, the one you used to face, in order to distinguish those who follow the messenger from those who turn on their heels. Of course, this community has to be always shaken so that because you're building the core group. Later on, you can expand. But we're talking now about building the core group and Quran addressing that core group. So every now and then they are tested. They are tested not because Allah does not like them or Allah wants to punish them. They are tested to make them better people, because there are two ways you can be a better person in this life. Is what you learn on your own and the life experience that you go through. So learning and implementing what you learn, that makes you a better person. Going through life experience and handling it properly and learning your lessons, you become a better person. So Muslims were prepared by both, by education and training, and also by life experiences. This is one of those tests. So Allah is telling clearly that was meant to sort out the community. Allah, at this point, this core group, we want really people to be completely devoted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the cause. وَإِنْ كَانَتْ لَكَبِيرَةً إِلَّا عَلَى الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهِ. Allah is telling them, yes, it was big. It was hard. That test was hard. Except for those Allah has guided. So, Quran, very realistic. Didn't say, it was hard. It's a hard test. Except for those who really are dedicated and devoted, and these people, like was exemplified by two incidents in the Seerah. One was Abu Bakr as-Siddiq in Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj, in kana qala faqad sadaq. This is how solid people are. People of Quraysh came and say, your friend, whom you're following, claims that yesterday he went to Jerusalem and went to the seventh heaven and came back overnight. Of course, there was no flights at that time. There was no even motorcycles. So, and I think they expected that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq was going to say, oh no, that's too much. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said, if he said it, it is so. I'm not sure about you. I'm not sure about what you're claiming. But if he said it, then it is the truth. And then, of course, the stand by Sa'd ibn Mu'adh in the Battle of Badr, when he told Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we signed on blank check, basically. Go wherever you want, do whatever you want. We will never let you down. Yeah. So these are the people who keep passing those tests. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم. Allah would never let your faith go to waste. For Allah is most compassionate and most merciful towards people. So basically, the end of the verse is telling them that Allah is this was not meant to punish you. This is part of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, Allah is assigning you a big job, so Allah is preparing you for that job. I mean, just to bring the idea close, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى, those coaches who prepare team and athletes for big competitions like Olympics, they are so hard on them. Yeah. And they give them very hard time. And they keep pushing them to the next level, especially those who are competing for the gold. Yeah. It's not like because they hate them, it's actually the other way around. And athletes or the team may hate what they're doing, but you know what happens when they win, they appreciate all that preparation, that it was not meant as a punishment. Of course, just an example to bring the idea close with Allah al-Mathal al-Ta'ala. Why Quran says ما كان الله ليضيع إيمانكم? Because these people, the people around them in Medina and in Mecca, and the people at that time was telling them that if praying to Kaaba is the right thing to do, then the several months that you spent praying to Jerusalem were wasted. And vice versa. If praying to Jerusalem, Aqsa Mosque, is the right thing, then all your prayers to Kaaba was waste. So Quran is telling them, this is how you should answer them. Or Quran is comforting them, ما كان الله ليضيع إيمانكم. Allah will not do that. Allah will not ask you to switch qibla and then void all your prayers. إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم. The next verse is amazing. It's amazing in eloquence, and it's amazing in the attitude of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ with Allah. قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء. قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء. Many a time we have seen you, Prophet, turn your face towards heaven. Rasul ﷺ, the switching of the Qibla to Al-Aqsa Mosque was very heavy on him. And of course there is a lot of pressure and a lot of attacks. But he was so polite with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he wouldn't even dare to ask Allah so that they return and praying to Kaaba. He was just looking at the heaven, sama, the skies. قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء. He was showing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that please, there a way, there a possibility. But again, he reveres Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the point that he didn't say anything. He just looked at the heavens, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is answering, قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها. We're answering your call or your supplication, the supplication that you did not make. So we are turning you towards a prayer direction that pleases you. We're allowing you to go back and pray to Kaaba. Turn your face in the direction of the sacred mosque. And wherever you are, you believers may be, turn your faces to it. So قد نرى تقلب وجهك في السماء فلنولينك قبلة ترضاها فولي وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيثما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطرة. And then to comforting them, because again they were attacked in the first switch and they were attacked in the second switch. وإن الذين أوتوا الكتاب ليعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وما الله بغافل عما يعملون. Quran going back to empower and inspire Muslims and comfort them, to tell them what to expect, how to answer, and you shouldn't worry, etc. ولئن أتيت الذين أوتوا الكتاب بكل آية ما تبعوا قبلتك وما أنت بتابع قبلتهم وما بعضهم بتابع قبلة بعض ولئن اتبعت أهواءهم من بعد ما جاءك من العلم إنك إذا لمن الظالمين. Yet even those who were given the scripture know with certainty that this is the truth from their Lord. I mean, this is the truth, meaning the Quran, meaning all the commandments coming from Allah. They know that this is the truth. And remember the conversation between Huyay ibn Akhtab and another leader of the Jews in Medina, the father of the girl, the lady that Rasul married later on. She was saying this when she was young in Medina, when Rasul came to Medina, and she listened to the conversation between her father, who was Jewish leader, and another Jewish leader, and they were saying to each other that he is the man. I mean, he is the man. He is the one that is expected. He is the prophet here. So Quran is confirming that. And then Abdullah ibn Salam, of course, when he hid behind and curtain or thing, and then Rasul brought a group of Jewish leaders in Medina and told them, who is Abdullah ibn Salam amongst you? And they say, he is our scholar, he's the most knowledgeable, etc. Keep praising him. And Abdullah ibn Salam, who already accepted Islam, came out and told them that you know that this is the messenger that you were expecting, and you know, etc. And then they immediately say Abdullah ibn Salam is foolish, and he's someone who's crazy and mad, and we shouldn't take him seriously. Quran is telling the Rasul here that they know. So it's not that your message is not convincing. It's not like you don't have enough evidence, or it's just arrogance that is preventing. They know with certainty that this is the truth from their Lord. Allah is not unaware of what they do. That's very comforting to the Prophet ﷺ and his companions when they say that Allah is aware. Allah is not unaware of what they do. Yet, even if you brought every proof to those who are given the scripture, they would not follow your prayer direction, nor will you follow theirs, nor indeed will any of them follow one another's direction. If you, Prophet, were to follow their desires after the knowledge brought to you, you would be doing wrong. إِنَّكَ إِذًا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And we really have to pay attention to those verses in which the Quran appears to talk to the Prophet in a strong language. It's not even harsh, because Quran is meant for us here. It's even when it is addressing the Prophet ﷺ, it's addressing us through the Prophet. So, وَلَنِ اتَّبَعْتَ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ, like if you become weak in fulfilling your mission and delivering the message, and you decide to go with the flow, that's very dangerous, very serious. إِنَّكَ إِذًا لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And then there are a number of verses in which Quran addresses the Prophet ﷺ in a very strong language, especially when it comes to matter of fulfilling the mission and delivering the message and be steadfast. Yeah. Of course, the message is mainly for us. الذين آتيناهم الكتاب يعرفونه كما يعرفون أبناءهم وإن فريقا منهم لا يكتمون الحق وهم يعلمون الحق من ربك فلا تكونن من الممترين. So that's also very eloquent expression from the Quran. Those we gave the scripture know it as well as they know their own sons or children. But some of them hide the truth that they know. So it's not an issue of convincing or proof or evidence. It's just arrogance. The truth is from your Lord, so do not be one of those who doubt. فَلَا تَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْمُمْتَرِينَ. Shouldn't doubt. Each community has its own direction to which it turns, raised to do good deeds And wherever you are, Allah will bring you together. Allah has power to do everything. ومن حيث ولكل وجهة هو موليها فاستبقوا الخيرات أينما تكونوا يأتي بكم الله جميعا. استبقوا الخيرات is very powerful directives. ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. وسارعوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم وسابقوا إلى مغفرة من ربكم. This idea of وفي ذلك فليتنافس المتنافسون. This idea of race and competition and sense of urgency and racing to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and feel that you are in a competition. فاستبقوا الخيرات. فاستبقوا الخيرات was also mentioned in Surah Al-An'am. فاستبقوا الخيرات. Race to do good deeds. أينما تكون يأتي بكم الله جميعا الله على كل شيء قدير. Of course, this reinforcement of Tawheed. Remember that the Quran is book of Tawheed. Just a couple of verses ago, إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم. Now, إن الله على كل شيء قدير. ومن حيث خرجت فولي وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وإنه للحق من ربك وما الله بغافل عما تعملون. ومن حيث خرجت فولي وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وحيثما كنتم فولوا وجوهكم شطره لئلا يكون للناس عليكم حجة إلا الذين ظلموا منهم فلا تخشوهم واخشون وليتم نعمتي عليكم ولعلكم تهتدون. These two long verses conclude this incident of al-Qibla direction, prayer direction. Wherever you may have started out, turn your face in the direction of the sacred mosque just to confirm the switch, the change. This is the truth from your Lord. He is not unaware of what you do. Wherever you may have started out, turn your face in the direction of the sacred mosque. Wherever any of you may be, turn your faces towards it so that people may have no argument against you. So basically that attack, especially from the people of Quraysh, will stop, except for the wrongdoers among them. Do not fear them, fear me, and so that I may perfect my favor on you and you may be guided. So conclude this again to reinforce that wherever you are, just pray towards the Kaaba, sacred mosque. This is the truth from your Lord. You should not worry about what people say, and this should stop all the attacks, especially from the people of Quraysh, except those who are, there are people who will never stop. Just don't worry about them. And you find yourself, if you're leading a change, you find yourself repeating this message frequently to tell your people that basically this is what you should say, that's how you should answer, that's etc. And then whoever persists, just don't worry about them, because they're just to waste your time and to just for argumentations and for jadal. They're not after the truth, or they want to know, or they want to understand, or they want to learn, but they're just challenging. And then this concludes with the verse which we have seen last time and spend most of the time on it, which is كما أرسلنا فيكم رسولا منكم يتلو عليكم آياتنا ويزكيكم ويعلمكم الكتاب والحكمة ويعلمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفروا. So verse, again we spent a lot of time on this verse before. It's also in Surah Al-Jumu'ah and in Surah Al-Imran, twice in Baqarah, once in Al-Imran and once in Surah Al-Jumu'ah. It's the job of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the job of every follower of Muhammad ﷺ. Whoever is serious about following Rasul ﷺ should be in the business of developing yourself into a role model and mentoring others, learning and teaching. These are the four tasks around the job or description of Rasul ﷺ That's what he was doing. So whoever wants to be like the Prophet ﷺ, you should be always trying to be a better person and help individuals around you becoming better people, uplifting, mentoring, and learn more and teach and share that knowledge. And he kept it as knowledge and wisdom. This is, just as we have sent among you a messenger of your own to recite our revelation to you, purify you, prefer develop you more or mentor you or uplift you more than purify is part of it. Uplifting and development, major part of it is spiritual development, which is the purification, but also has character and has a lot. It's a much more tazkiyah. It's more comprehensive, much more comprehensive than purification. To purify you and teach you the scripture, wisdom, and other things that you did not know. So remember me, I will remember you. فاذكروني أذكركم. Be thankful to me and never ungrateful. واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. فاذكروني أذكركم. So as long as you are in the remembrance of, in state of remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are connected, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you and will support you and will guide you and will protect you. That's the meaning. فاذكروني أذكركم. Doesn't mean that if you forget Allah, Allah will forget us. Allah does not forget, but that's the meaning. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. Be grateful. That's essential driving force and pillar of our deen is to worship Allah out of gratitude, out of love and gratitude, and to leave fear for at the last resort, because fear can only guarantee the minimum, that you can basically, like the airplane, if the main engines fail, if the engine of love fails and the engine of gratitude fails and the engine of reverence fails, then you have the engine of fear, which will guarantee the minimum. At least you will do the fara'id, and you will not commit the sin just out of fear. But love and gratitude will push you and inspire you and motivate you to do the maximum, not the minimum. All right, I'll stop here, inshallah, and leave it for questions and comments.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Dr. Ferry, during Salat al-Eid in Masjid Shirley Gate, incident happened. Some fiqh issue happened during the Salah. I am not questioning the fiqh issue, if the Imam was right or wrong. I am questioning the reaction of the Musallin, how they stand up and interrupt them loudly, What is the limit for us when we interfere, or what we should do, I understand that from your situation, fiqh issue always come in the second line, not first line all the time,
No, it's not second line. I personally not a faqih, so I'm not solid on fiqh. But I'm not sure about, I'm not aware of the incident exactly, but I'm not surprised. I mean, when it comes to discipline and when it comes to, last night I saw something quickly from the German parliament, just to give you an idea about how far we are really from discipline. And so Angela Merkel went, while there is a member of the parliament speaking, Angela Merkel was talking to someone, and then the president, chairman of the parliament, say, "If you that's not appropriate," very quietly. and if you want to talk to him, you should go out or towards the end of the room, yani. And she said, she apologized. She said, and she went very quietly. And people were clapping. I'm sure that even her party members, they were doing that. There is something wrong and just had to be fixed. And then the person apologized. Very high level of sophistication and discipline. Compared to that, to a mosque, and even if there is a mistake or something, unless the imam said something kufr, I don't think it's worth having a chaos or people standing up and then or creating. Again, I don't know exactly about the incident or what happened exactly or how severe it is. But I'm not surprised that even if it is minor, we have seen this before. We have seen fights in mosques because of the beginning of Ramadan and the Eid day. We have seen fights in mosques because of this. I know it's over now, but we have seen this. Is it okay to vote or not? And people really making it an issue of aqidah and issue of wala and bara and same thing for the Ramadan and for Eid. That was an annual incident. And same thing for many small differences, small differences, and you have the whole mosque polarized and people about to fight each other, and the issue really is not worth it. Just we have to learn how to manage our differences and our diversity. And we are in the best spot to learn that. I know this country is not perfect. I know there are problems, and we have seen it even recently, etc. But to a large extent, this is one of the most diverse societies in the world, and they are managing to be functional. Again, it's not perfect, but compared to the level of diversity, if you compare it to any other country where you have only 2 sects or 3 and they could not survive, this is a country where all religions are here, all ethnicities, everything is here. All ideologies in the world, and people are coexisting and managing it. So we have a long way to go, Brother Abdullah, to learn how to manage our differences and keep them in check and don't blow them out of proportion and learn to be very highly disciplined.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ghannouchi.
Assalamu alaikum.
I wanted to ask you about the Qibla, just from a historical perspective, for me to get this, the sequence of events right. Was the first Qibla just decided by Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be Jerusalem out of his own ijtihad, and then was Masjid al-Haram selected via the Quran, and then the switch that we read about from Masjid al-Haram and Masjid al-Aqsa and then back to Masjid al-Haram. So I guess part of it is, did the Rasul do the ijtihad on his own, and were they facing Jerusalem first? And just so that I can have...
It's the other way around. It's the other way around. They were praying to Mecca while they were in Mecca. And also in the Medina, they were still praying to Mecca. I'm sure that should be some sort of inspiration. Probably it's not a decision by the Prophet ﷺ, or that's probably the norm, because that's the sacred mosque. But then in Medina, they were asked to switch to Jerusalem for several months, and then they were asked to go back. Not the way you described it. It's the other way around. They started praying to Mecca all the time, because there was prayer even in the early days, not the prayer that we pray now, because this happened in Isra al-Mi'raj, in the journey of Isra al-Mi'raj. They used to pray 2 rak'ahs in the morning and 2 rak'ahs in the afternoon, or something like this. But in Medina, they were asked. in Medina, they were asked to switch to Jerusalem, and then were asked to switch back to pray back to Kaaba. So prayed for years to Kaaba, and then in Medina, first year or two or year and a half, and then they were asked to pray to the Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem for several months. I don't remember exactly how long. And then they were asked to go back and pray to Kaaba.
So I hear the reference to Jerusalem being in Arabic, Ulat al-Qiblatayn. Is that a wrong, I guess, reference to Jerusalem, or am I misunderstanding something? What is meant by Ulat al-Qiblatayn?
I don't know. I don't know about. I hear that, but I don't know. How accurate that and how consistent it is with what happened in the Sirah. I'm not sure. Yeah, I hear that all the time.
Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Suhail.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you again for the discussion. My take is that from the verses you spoke, a lot of time is a reminder of community and tazkiyah. Like the verse you talked about being witness to the world, shuhada ala nasi wa yakuna rasulu alaykum shahida, and fortunately you find that mashallah nowadays there are a lot of Muslim community centers. Everyone is coming up with institutions, but still you find we fall short, like in terms of character and action, and so like where do we go wrong, or what's your opinion? Like how come there are a lot of this institution and but still like you say, people think that we are doing much, but when you look at, for example, the important institution of families are breaking down, our children are confused and into a lot of social issues. So there's still a lot of issues, and yes, there are people come up with this centers, but where do we miss the balance, and what's the best form of community that you can come up with, in your opinion, or what should we do? Because a lot of time you keep reminding us, which always refreshing and kind of brings soul searching, but still I think we need that guidance, that leadership that we fail to see, and from ourselves and from the people that we follow. So what can you say about this? Thank you.
Well, this is a big question. Let me go back to Brother Ayman's question. You're right, Ayman, I was wrong. The Muslims prayed to Jerusalem even in Mecca, so it's not like switching twice, it's switching only once. So that's why they're called Ula Qiblatayn. So they're praying to Jerusalem even in Mecca and in the first year or so in Medina, and the Jews were using this as saying they're praying to the same direction like ours. And then, of course, you are doomed if you do it and doomed if you don't. So when they were praying to Jerusalem, they were saying that you're basically following us, and we are the. And then when they switched to Mecca, they also came up with a different set of accusations. And of course, the Arabs along the same line. So I just want to correct myself on that. For your question, Sister Amina, this is big question. The elite in Muslim communities and societies are very short-sighted, and a lot of time they're very selfish. So when they get to position of powers, it's like their life dream is achieved. So they start see things very rosy. Everything is great. Everything is fine. Why? Because we don't have that type of leadership that has a vision. And when they get to the position of power, they should see it not as an opportunity to enjoy it, but an opportunity to fulfill that vision and implement it. So basically, you hardly see a Muslim leader in a society or a community. When they get to power, you see them very relaxed. Why? Because their life dream was achieved. They are not driven by big vision, as opposed to if the leader who's really has a burning cause, and actually when you get the opportunity to implement it, you should feel even more stress and more pressure, because now it's not like your dream was fulfilled, it's the opportunity to fulfill that dream has come. So we're going to keep seeing this all the time, whether it is leadership of mosques or Islamic centers or leadership in the society or anywhere. It's everything is fine, everything is good, because they see it from their own perspective, and there is the limitation, and there isn't that big vision that is driving them, so that they can always, like the Prophet ﷺ, kept his community and maintained the momentum and never allowed that momentum to die. So wherever they reach a level, before they relax, actually before they reach that level, Rasul ﷺ will initiate the next stage. And we have seen this, and I wrote about the seerah of Rasul ﷺ as an example of a movement of change. And try to read the mind of Rasul ﷺ in terms of, as a leader, what was in his mind, what were his visions and milestones and strategies. And then I've seen it very clearly that Rasul ﷺ always, before the stage ends, he will initiate another one. It's like the S-curve they talk about today, which was published in a book by a Harvard scholar, that companies and nations and communities, they go through that S-curve. They grow slowly, and then they jump, and then if they don't start a new curve, they're going to hit plateau. Rasul ﷺ was implementing that model in an amazing way, that when he was signing the Treaty of Hudaybiyah with the people of Quraysh, Rasul ﷺ knew that this phase, or has a feeling that this phase of Arabian Peninsula, it's a matter of time, that's it. So we're reaching the end. You don't allow yourself and your people to reach the end and the momentum to die, because it's very hard to create a momentum. When there is a momentum, you'd better try to maintain it. So Rasul ﷺ immediately sent his 7 emissaries to the leaders of the world, asking them, go into the next level of engagement. Of course, the Rasul ﷺ never attacked anybody or forced Islam on anybody, but it is another level of engagement outside the Arabian Peninsula. Unfortunately, in our time, we had even the few leaders who really created the success stories. Unfortunately, they stayed for too long until it started declining. So they made another type of mistake, which is the leadership for life, that you don't just finish your terms and go. So we have all this package. We have leadership that are limited, and that when they reach a position of power, they think it's like dream came true. They don't have very big visions or high aspirations, so they get into managing the status quo. managing the mosque, make sure that keep the mosque clean and keep the Jumu'ah prayer and the basic services and activities, which is, nobody can blame them, especially most of the leaders of the mosques are volunteers, etc. But unfortunately, as a community, and we don't have that high aspirations and big vision, neither in our members nor in our leaders. And that's why you hear sometimes somebody takes the microphone and say, Alhamdulillah, our community is doing great. We're doing very well. And the other thing that makes this happening over and over again is that we never basically commit ourselves to any goals or milestones. We keep it open so that we can call anything a success. Have you ever seen a leader who will tell you that this is my plan or my vision and hold me accountable so that we can measure? I mean, there are measurable goals so that we can say that we achieved only 50% of them or 60 or 70. But in the absence of those goals and timetable, we can't call anything successful. Nowadays, in every country, they will tell you that we are successful because we have built new schools and new roads or new bridges. Of course, you can build new bridges and new schools and new roads. I mean, that's a very natural thing to happen. That's not the big achievement yet. But in the absence of a reference, in the absence of clear performance indicators, we always say that because today we are better off than yesterday, then we are succeeding. Because there are people who are doing worse, then we are successful. And all these are ridiculous measurements. That's not measurement. You want to evaluate success? You should take into consideration the opportunity, the resources, and the potential, and the goals that were there, and let's see what was achieved, and compare that to the goals, to the opportunities, and to the resources that was available to you, and that's when we can say how much success was achieved. But if you neglect all of these things, then you can say, okay, because now this year we have remodeled the mosque, and because we have expanded it, or we went from a rental place to purchase our place, then we are very successful. I used to say this. I used to travel extensively in the country and sit down with people and ask them to tell me about what they're doing, etc. So I remember a typical conversation that people who are managing school, they say our school, alhamdulillah, is very successful. And I immediately say, based on what you're saying this? And then they keep saying, we moved to a bigger place, or we had a place that is rental place, and now we have we purchased our own. Right? Great, good. We have a waiting list. Our budget is we have a surplus. I say all of this is good, but that's not why you established the school. You established a school to produce a certain quality individual. Are you doing that or not? I mean, don't be misled by other factors that are good and helpful, but as a tool, not the goal is to produce a certain category or type of individuals. Are you achieving that goal? And do you have a way to measure that so that you can say that your school is successful or not?
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Said. It's 1:34. Inshallah, I will see you next Sunday if nobody has any question.
Inshallah.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
الله خير يا شيخ.
جزاك الله خير. وياك.
دكتور غنوشي.
السلام
عليكم. الله يبارك
عليكم
فيك.
السلام ورحمة الله.
إسماعيل معك. الله يبارك فيك.
جزاك الله خير دكتور غنوشي. الو.
ممكن اتصل بك على الواتساب؟
طيب تفضل.
شكرا.